accidents happen. Crimes are committed. And what happened on October 19th of 2020 wasn't a vicious, intentional crime. It was an accident. A tragic accident. Caused when Ryelee grabbed the shotgun from Bill and tried to pull it at himself away from Bill. An accident. Bill didn't intend to kill Ryelee. He didn't intend to hurt Ryelee that night. He didn't intend to shoot him. It was an accident. All Bill wanted to do was find his animals. Find the animals that he loved so much. Because when Ryelee took his animals, when Ryelee took his guns, Bill was afraid that that night Ryelee was going to take his life. See, a couple of days before the shooting occurred, Bill finds out that the animals have been taken. That same night, his vehicle, he discovered items missing from his vehicle that included 2 handguns that Bill always had in his car. He had them for protection. They went missing, as did his animals. And you're going to hear Bill loved those animals. From a very young age, Bill loved animals and he loved nature. It was a value instilled in him by his father. That led him to pursue a career in law enforcement, to be a DNR warden and a park ranger, because he loved animals and he loved nature. And when they went missing, all he wanted to do was find them and bring them home safely. You're going to hear the steps Bill took the days after the thefts occurred, looking for these animals. Because Bill did start building a business, collecting, raising, and breeding animals that expanded into venomous reptiles, dangerous reptiles. He went to trade shows where he talked with everybody else about raising these animals, caring for these animals appropriately. Because these aren't just any reptiles. In the wrong hands, they're deadly. If you're not trained, if you don't have the proper equipment, these animals could kill you. If you don't have the proper equipment or the proper housing, you could kill those animals. Bill was worried about his animals. He wanted to find them and bring them home safely. So he texted everybody that he knew, every connection he made, everybody in the reptile community that he had connected with, asking anybody, if you hear anything about these animals, please let me know. He went online. He tried to search because he knew that if whoever took these animals were going to sell them, because they were worth a lot of money. Anybody who was going to sell these, Bill was going to try to find where they were so he could get them and bring them home safely. You're going to hear the text messages he sent to other people asking where they might be. Because they were dangerous. And whoever took them did sign their own death sentence. Because those animals were going to bite them and those people were going to die. So Bill searched and searched, tried to talk to everybody he could to find these animals. Now, earlier in the night on October 19th, Bill was at home at East Road. He was with April, his wife, his girlfriend Tiffany, and Tiffany's son Rowan. Now, you heard Bill has a wife and he has a girlfriend. It was an odd relationship, but it worked for them. They knew about each other, and they were okay with it. So they were all at Bill's house earlier in the night on October 19th. Bill and Tiffany then received some information from a Mackenzie Moudreau. That was Rylee's girlfriend at one point. Mackenzie tells them, you guys better watch yourself. Ryelee and Ashton have been asking for rides to come rob you. They said, we've already been robbed. So now they believe that it's Ryelee. They search on Snapchat. They find Rylee's pictures on Snapchat with a bottle of alcohol. A bottle of alcohol that was in Bill's shed on East Road where the animals were taken. Well, now they have some solid evidence that Ryelee was involved. So Bill calls the police. Says, we have some additional information we want to tell you. He talks to his friend Jeff Larson. Jeff Larson is Rylee's landlord. He says, Jeff, if you happen to be in town, can you stop by Rylee's place and see if he's home? Jeff said, I am in town. And he goes over there, tells Bill Rylee's there. Bill's talking to law enforcement, says Rylee's at his house on Mill Street. Bill and Tiffany get in his car and they leave. You're going to hear that Bill wasn't angry. Bill's number one concern was finding those animals, bringing them home safely. On his way to Mill Street, Bill's told, we have officers heading to Mill Street. Don't show up. Bill listens. He doesn't go to Mill Street. He and Tiffany drive to Main Street and they wait. They wait for additional information from law enforcement, hoping that law enforcement can question Ryelee and find where these animals are. So they sit and they wait. Seems like hours pass. Killing some time, they go over to Walgreens. And as they're driving back to Main Street, they see Tara driving. Now, Tara is Mackenzie's mother. Bill thinks, if Mackenzie had information, maybe Tara does as well. Maybe Tara heard where these animals were. So Bill and Tiffany follow Tara. Tara turns onto Van Street, Bill turns onto Van Street. Tara turns into her driveway, Bill turns into her driveway. Tara goes inside, Bill and Tiffany go inside. And they're asking Tara, have you heard from Ryelee? Do you know anything about where these animals might be? Tara's going to tell you they weren't angry. They were asking about the animals. Now, Bill and Tiffany are only there for a short time because Bill gets a phone call. Phone call from a police officer with Wapaka Police Department. Says, Bill, I'm on Main Street. Can you meet me down at your property on Main Street? So Bill and Tiffany tell Tara, we're going to go meet with the police. We'll be back. So they get in their car. They drive the short distance back to Main Street. They're still concerned, worried about these animals. Telling the officer, we just want to find out where they are. Officer tells Bill, Ryelee and Ashton are being placed into custody. Bill's thankful. Now, the officer tells Bill he might be released, but maybe the county will hold Ryelee for questioning. That's more relief to Bill. Because as you heard, there's different jurisdictions. The police department, they don't have jurisdiction for the burglary to Bill's East Road property. The sheriff's department does. And that officer tells Bill, maybe the county will hold Ryelee for questioning. And Bill's just hoping that the sheriff's department will question Ryelee, use the additional information that he shared with them to find out where these animals are. After he's done meeting with that officer, Bill calls his wife April. Calls his wife April and gives her an update. We just talked with an officer. We don't know where the animals are. And we're still looking for them. So then Bill and Tiffany are going to go back to Tara's house to see if she had any information. They had just left her house and said, we're going to be back. So Bill starts to drive. Starts to drive down Main Street to Badger to School Street. And during that drive, his phone rings while he's still on the phone with April. It's Danielle. Danielle is Ashton's stepmother. So Bill answers the phone but gives it to Tiffany, and Tiffany actually speaks into the phone. Danielle says, I have Angela on the line with me. Angela is Ashton's mother. Angela says, I went in the basement, and these animals are here. Bill and Tiffany have no idea where she lives, what her address is. They know she lives outside of Waiawega, near Highway 10, but they don't know where she lives, what her address is. Tiffany asks, what's your address? Give me your address. She gives them her address. It is on Highway 10. Right across the street from the fiberglass molding company. They're still driving towards Tara's house, and they're turning onto Van Street. Just before they hit Van Street, they see someone walking down School Road. Now it's dark. It's past 10:15 at night. They see somebody. They think it's Ryelee, which surprises Bill, because Bill was hoping that he was going to be questioned by the sheriff's department. And he thinks, if Rylee's walking, he might be asking for a ride. He had asked Mackenzie and Madison for a ride. So Bill still goes to Tara's house, because he wants to tell Tara, if Ryelee comes by asking for a ride, don't give him a ride. We found the animals. We're going to go get them. It's going to take us a little bit of time. We don't want any issues with Ryelee coming out there. Because Bill knows if that was Ryelee, he was going to go back to the animals and get rid of them. So Bill needs to go get the animals and bring them home safely with no issue. So instead of pulling in Tara's driveway, he parks on the road. He parks on the road because he's just going to get out, run in, and tell Tara not to give Ryelee a ride if he comes over. And as he gets out of his car and he starts walking to Tara's driveway, that same figure that he had seen walking is now, he can see at the other end of Van Street, running at him. He still doesn't know who that is, because Van Street's awfully dark. It's lit by 2 streetlights. One on the corner of School Street and Van, and one on the corner of Shearer and Van. And he sees this person running. And then he finds out who it is. It's Ryelee. He doesn't know it's Ryelee because of his sight. He knows Ryelee because he hears Ryelee yelling. While Ryelee is running full speed at Bill, Rylee's yelling, "I'm going to get you!" It's a dark road. Rylee's running full speed at him. Bill knows Ryelee took his animals. Bill's worried Ryelee took his guns. And he sees this threat barreling towards him. At some point, Tiffany had gotten out of the car, so Bill goes back into his car, grabs his shotgun. He grabs his shotgun to hopefully stop Ryelee from attacking him. To stop this threat that he knows is coming at him, which the law allows us to do. Bill doesn't want to shoot the shotgun. No, he's hoping that the sight of the shotgun will stop Ryelee from advancing. Takes out the shotgun, he turns on the flashlight, and he points it in the direction down Van Street, hoping Rylee's going to see that and stop coming. But he doesn't. Ryelee keeps coming at him. Bill puts some distance between himself and the vehicle. Ryelee squares up to him, takes off his jacket and says, "Put down the gun and fight me like a man." Bill says, "I'm not going to put this gun down." But he goes over and he hands the gun to Tiffany because he doesn't want to use it. He doesn't intend to use it. He grabs the stun gun out of his jacket pocket, turns it on to show Ryelee it's on, and tries to subdue Ryelee with the taser because he doesn't want to hurt him. He doesn't want to shoot Ryelee. He's trying to stop this threat with the taser. Bill tries to tase Ryelee, but he drops the taser. He reaches down to pick it up. Ryelee runs to the vehicle. Well, Bill knew when Ryelee took off his jacket that Ryelee didn't have a weapon, which is why he was comfortable using the taser. But all this stuff sitting right here, these knives, this hammer, this baseball bat, this pickaxe looking thing, that was all in Bill's vehicle. Within reach that if Ryelee didn't have a weapon then, he could now. So Bill goes back towards the vehicle. He grabs the gun back from Tiffany. But he's not pointing it at Ryelee. He has it ready in the event that Ryelee is going to grab one of these weapons and come at Bill with it. Ryelee turns in the direction generally of Bill. You're going to see the video just before the shooting. Bill's not pointing the gun at Ryelee. Bill's backing up. Bill's backing away from Ryelee. And as that video ends, Bill's shotgun is pointed at the ground, with Ryelee a short distance away. Pointing the gun at the ground. Suddenly, Ryelee seizes that opportunity and comes at Bill, lunges at him. Bill raises up the shotgun. Ryelee reaches out. He grabs it. There's a struggle. Bill knows. If Ryelee gets this gun from me, he's going to shoot me with it. So Bill tightens his grip. He puts his finger on the trigger. Still, Ryelee struggling, tries to get the gun. Finally, Ryelee yanks it away, causing Bill's finger to press that trigger down. The gunshot goes off. Bill backs up, and Ryelee falls. You're going to hear Rylee's DNA was on the foregrip of that shotgun and on the barrel/flashlight of that shotgun. His DNA was also on the end of the shotgun because it was pressed against his skin when he pulled it and pulled it towards himself. That's how Rylee's DNA, you're going to hear, is on the foregrip and the flashlight area. Because Ryelee grabbed it. You're also going to hear the trajectory is slightly downward. And that pathologist is going to tell you that if somebody is leaning towards the gun and pulling it, then in a standard anatomical position, the trajectory would be slightly downward. Rylee's not on the ground with his hands up in the air. You're going to see the very end of the video right before the shooting takes place. You're going to see the time when that video ends. And in under a minute, Bill's on the phone with 911. Because after that shot rings out, Bill takes a step back and Ryelee falls on the ground. Bill knows he's still a threat. Just like a wounded animal that could get up and still attack Bill. He needs to call 911. So he tells Tiffany, "Get my phone, we need to call 911. Tiffany was just on the phone with Angela and Danielle. They can't find it. So they both go into the vehicle. Bill secures the gun in the vehicle. Tiffany finds his phone. She dials 911, immediately hands the phone to Bill, and Bill calls 911. Bill's not nonchalant. Bill's calm, because you're going to hear that Bill has law enforcement training. And one of the things that they're going to tell you they learn is to remain calm during emergencies, so that the police can have the information, that rescue can have the appropriate information, and that they can get to the scene and provide assistance as quickly as possible. Which is what they did. Because when law enforcement gets there, within minutes, they place Bill into custody and they place Ryelee onto an ambulance. And both of them are brought to the hospital. Bill keeps asking, "How's Ryelee doing? I'm concerned about Ryelee. Do you know anything about Ryelee?" And these officers tell him, "We haven't heard anything. And we'll talk about that later." Finally, one of the officers does tell Bill, Ryelee didn't make it. Bill's reaction is devastation. You're going to see how Bill immediately breaks down, crying. Because he didn't intend to kill Ryelee. He didn't intend to hurt Ryelee. He cared about Ryelee. All Bill wanted to do that night was find the animals, bring them home safely. What happened on October 19th is tragic. But it's not an intentional homicide. It was an accident caused when Ryelee grabbed the gun and tried to pull it away from Bill. That's why, at the end of this trial, I'm going to ask that you find Bill not guilty. Thank you.
At this time, the bailiff will be handing you note-taking materials. As I indicated, those notes will be available to you to utilize in your deliberations. As I